Hey, Dr. Crawford and fellow students. This week I'll be talking to you about our Module 3 and how what experiences I went through, and I'll be talking to you all about the vlog number 2. And here we go. So, what was new to me? Well, basically, it gave me a very specific and broad aspect about our environment. Understanding those videos and seeing how pollution, how our overpopulation um, gets us going. I know for me, it's always been a concern about our environment and how we treat our animals and how we treat our wildlife, our oceans, and how. And I can definitely bring this global perspective into the classroom when I have my students. Even though I would have a social studies, I could always bring it into the classroom on how our history, how in history we have treated our world, in our earth, in our country, um, very poor. And so I think throughout this vlog, I'll hopefully expand about how how I felt and what how everything came about in terms of the articles and what I learned. I definitely learned a lot about how important it is to understand how um, students are in different countries, how the education is, and how the environment plays a vital aspect to them. What emotions have come up as a result of what you read, viewed, and how have you handled these emotions? So I focused on the sea turtle and how important the sea turtle is to our environment. Um, I've actually gone to several aquariums and rehabilitation rescue centers with not only my family but with my sons, field trips, and have experienced and have toured the rehabilitation on how on sea turtles and how they've been treated and what they've gone through and what the process is for them to get back to normal and why it's so important for them to be normal and have a wildlife life. And so sea turtles are really important because they control the jellyfish, they control the coral reefs and how they germinate the the plants and they germinate the seeds and how they are vital. They contribute to the underground to the under the sea um, life. So it's important that we take care of them and we um, take care of our oceans because they and other um, mammals and fish and other wildlife have to pretty much have to experience either a clean ocean or a dirty ocean. Um, as I saw the video from one of the teachers that posted about how important wildlife is and what they do for us. Um, if you take a tour to the rehabilitation center, even at Topsail, you'll see what these people go through. A lot of these centers are nonprofit, and a lot of these centers have volunteers that volunteer, and a lot of man hours go into taking care of these animals, especially sea turtles and loggerheads. What emotions have come up as a result of what I read and viewed, and how have you handled these emotions? So, like I said, I've taken many trips to Orlando, to Wilmington, to Topsail to see aquariums, um, and to see the sea turtles and how what they go through. You know, even even if you buy a 6 pack of soda, you have to really rip up those plastics, because those plastics will go into the ocean somehow, or sewage or waste goes into the ocean, and that really hits me home, because a lot of these sea turtles, they experience it, and they have no mechanism of fighting against that. And I think it's really important that we as humans take care of our beaches, take care of our oceans, because if we don't take care of it, who will? And these sea turtles, they can't just fight on their own. How can you bring some of these issues to what you've already teaching? So when I have my classroom, I'm definitely going to take some field trips. Definitely talk about the global aspects about wildlife and our oceans and our beaches, and how that's important to us, especially here in the East Coast, and in Jacksonville and in Wilmington, and how close we are to the beach, and how that impacts us with our food, with our animals, with the creatures that we coexist with. Um, and when I have a classroom, I'll have a lot of teaching moments. We'll have a lot of projects, and I think those are all teachable moments that the students can learn from, and that they can bring, to their families, and I can bring it to my family. I can bring to my students, and to my sons, to have better respect for our animals and the sea turtles and things like that. So for the social media aspect, I wanted to screenshot a global issues link about how Costa Rica banned fossil fuels and became the world's first decarbonized society. There's a link that I'll go into, and basically explains how the president wants nothing but solar energy, powered by the sun, powered by the water, is banning all fossil fuels. So it's really important for Costa Rica to go through this, and hopefully we can learn something as a United States, and also other countries can adopt this as well. So I'm going to go into So Costa Rica to ban fossil fuels and become world's first decarbonized society. The new president embraces titanic and beautiful task of complete renewable energy transition. I feel this is an important social media that students and teachers can look into, to broaden the global views, and how important it is for us to decarbonize for our generation. Symbolically, the president arrived at the ceremony in San Jose aboard a hydrogen-fueled bus. Mr. Alvarado said that Central American country would begin to implement a plan to end fossil fuel to use in transport by 2021, in the 200th year of Costa Rican independence.
Could it be the cleanest country in the world? Costa Rica has managed to achieve a clean energy milestone by using only renewable energy for the first 75 days of the year, which is a record for any country. Thanks to heavy rainfall this year, its hydroelectric plants alone are generating almost enough electricity to power the entire country. With a boost from geothermal, solar and wind energy sources, Costa Rica doesn't need any coal or petroleum to keep the lights on. No fossil fuels have been burned to generate electricity since December last year. Costa Rica is known for its clean energy policies. Of course, though, the country does have a lot of things going in its favour. It's a pretty small nation of less than 5 million people. It doesn't have much of a manufacturing industry, which would require a lot of energy. Its economy relies on tourism and agriculture, particularly bananas and coffee. And it's filled with volcanoes and lots of other things that lend themselves to renewable energy. Its tropical climate with high rainfall and mountainous interior. Costa Rica has a goal of being carbon neutral by 2021. New geothermal projects are already said to be in the planning stages to ensure that the country doesn't have to rely on fossil fuels in the future. The Central American state's government approved a $958 million geothermal project last year. Geothermal energy is basically the heat from the earth. Resources of geothermal energy range from the shallow ground to hot water and hot rock, found a few miles beneath the Earth's surface. The first plant, when completed, is expected to make 55 megawatts of electricity, which is enough to power 55,000 homes. And there are plans for a further two 50-megawatt plants to be built nearby. You may be thinking a $958 million project is a lot of money. But reportedly, Costa Rica hasn't had a military since 1948, so while saving money on defence, it's got lots left over to spend on projects like this.
So that concludes my presentation, vlog, and how important it is for us as a society to understand our global issues within the United States and outside the United States. I hope you enjoyed my vlog, and thank you again for viewing my vlog.